When someone says they need space, you never really know what that means until you live through it. For me, it started on an ordinary Wednesday night right after dinner. My wife, Claire, looked across the table, her fork still in hand, and said, "Ethan, I just need some space." It wasn't shouted or dramatic. Just 5 calm words that cracked the air between us. I asked her what kind of space she meant. She shrugged, eyes fixed on her plate. "You know, just time to think, to breathe." We'd been married 8 years, long enough to read every tone in her voice. And that tone wasn't about air or clarity, it was distance. Emotional distance disguised as maturity. I didn't argue. I nodded, finished my meal, and said, "Okay, if that's what you need." That night, I lay awake while she scrolled through her phone, the glow painting her face in soft blue light. I wanted to ask if she was texting someone else, but that's not the kind of man I am. If she was gone already, words wouldn't bring her back. 2 days later, she started sleeping in the guest room. Said it helped her clear her head. She began spending more evenings out, coffee with friends, late yoga, book club, all vague, all new. I still didn't confront her. Instead, I watched how easily she slipped into life without me. As if I'd been a habit she was finally breaking. The silence between us turned into a kind of roommate arrangement. She'd pass me in the hallway, offer a polite smile, and close her door. I made my own dinners, did my own laundry, and quietly started building emotional walls where she'd once lived. It's funny how a man can prepare for heartbreak while still pretending he's fine. A week later, I came home to find one of her suitcases half-packed on the bed. She said she'd be staying with her sister for a little while. I just nodded. She waited for me to argue, maybe to beg. I didn't. I only said, "Take whatever you need." She left that night. No hug, no tears, just a soft, "Thanks for understanding." The house was quiet for the first time in years. Not peaceful quiet, hollow quiet. The next morning, I woke up and made coffee for one. Her mug sat untouched beside mine. The lipstick faded but still there. I washed it, dried it, and put it in the highest cabinet. Out of sight. That weekend, I did something small but symbolic. I cleared her side of the closet, folded every piece neatly, packed it in boxes, and stacked them in the garage. I wasn't throwing her out. I was just giving her the space she asked for. I even replaced the framed photo on the nightstand. The one of us on our honeymoon in Maine, with a picture of the ocean. Open, endless, empty. Days turned into weeks. No calls, no texts, no updates. She posted a few pictures on social media. Smiling with friends, wine glass in hand, sunlight on her face. She looked happy, or maybe she wanted the world to think she was. Meanwhile, I started rebuilding my life in quiet ways. Hit the gym again, reconnected with old friends, and took a weekend trip to the mountains. The air there felt like honesty, cold, sharp, cleansing. 2 weeks after she left, I received a text, "Hey, can we talk sometime?" I waited a few hours before replying. "Sure." "About what?" She didn't respond right away. Then finally, "Just us. I miss how we used to be." I didn't know how to answer that. There was a time I'd have dropped everything to see her, but now, her words felt like echoes from a place I'd already left. Still, curiosity wins sometimes. We met at a small cafe downtown. She looked the same. Maybe a little thinner, maybe a little less certain. She smiled softly when she saw me. "You look good," she said. "Thanks," I replied. "You too." The conversation was polite, surface level. She said staying at her sister's made her realize things. That she'd taken me for granted. That she wanted to reconnect. I listened, nodded, and asked, "So, are you saying you want to come home?" Her eyes welled up. "If that's okay. I just needed time to see what I was losing." I looked down at my coffee, then back at her. "You didn't lose it, Claire. You gave it away." She blinked, caught off guard. That was the moment I realized something. She didn't expect me to move on. She thought I'd wait forever, frozen in her absence. After that meeting, she began texting again. Little things at first, "How's your day?" Or "Just thinking of you." Sometimes she'd send a photo of the dog we'd adopted years ago, As if nostalgia could pull me back, I wasn't cruel. I replied politely, but the warmth was gone. I didn't know her anger, and I didn't know her comfort either. A week later, she asked if she could stop by the house to pick up a few things she'd forgotten. When she arrived, I opened the door and noticed she hesitated on the threshold. Like she was walking into a stranger's home. It did look different. Cleaner. Calmer. Hers was the kind of chaos that used to fill every corner. Candles half-burned, scarves hanging off chairs, her perfume lingering on everything. Now the air smelled like cedar and coffee. She walked through the room slowly, running her fingers along the furniture as if trying to remember her place in it. "So quiet," she said softly. "Yeah," I answered. "Peaceful." She forced a small laugh. "It's too peaceful. Feels empty." I shrugged. "You wanted space. I just gave it form." Her face changed then, a flicker of realization mixed with guilt. She sat down on the couch, clasped her hands, and said, "I thought space would help me miss you, but it made me see what I lost. I don't even know why I needed it anymore." I wanted to tell her I understood, that sometimes people don't realize they're breaking something until the sound of it echoes back. But I didn't say that. Instead, I asked her a question I'd been holding in for weeks. "When you left, did you think I'd wait for you to figure it out?" She looked down. "Maybe. I guess I thought we just needed a reset." I nodded slowly. The thing about resets is, they erase everything, even what worked. She tried to smile, but her lips trembled. "Ethan, please, can we just start over?" I studied her for a moment. The woman sitting across from me wasn't the same one who left. The light in her eyes had dimmed, replaced by something heavier, understanding. "Claire," I said quietly, "I'm not angry. I just don't want to rebuild something that shouldn't have been torn down in the first place." Tears filled her eyes. "So that's it? You're done?" I hesitated, then answered truthfully. "I'm not done. I'm just healed." She didn't know what to say. She stood up, walked to the window, and whispered, "I thought you'd come after me." "I did," I said, "just not the way you expected. I chased myself instead." That broke her composure. She covered her face and began to cry, quietly at first, then heavier, as if the weight of her decisions finally found gravity. That I didn't comfort her. Not out of cruelty, but because sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is let them feel the consequence of their choices. After a while, she wiped her eyes and said she should go. I walked her to the door, and before leaving, she turned to me one last time. "Do you think you'll ever forgive me?" she asked. "I already did," I said. "But forgiveness isn't the same as invitation." She nodded, understanding more than words could explain. Then she left, quietly, closing the door behind her like a final breath. That night, I sat on the porch with a glass of bourbon and watched the sky darken. The world was still, the kind of still that used to feel lonely but now felt like freedom. For the first time in months, I didn't wonder where she was or who she was talking to. I wasn't replaying old conversations or imagining different endings. I was simply there, present, whole, at peace. The next morning, I boxed up the rest of her things and drove them to her sister's place. I didn't text to say I was coming. I just left them on the porch and drove away. I pulled out of the driveway. My phone buzzed. It was a message from her. "You really meant it, didn't you?" I didn't reply. Some messages don't need answers. Weeks passed, and I started to enjoy the life that used to feel incomplete without her. I learned how to cook more than just eggs, started painting again, and even took a solo trip to Colorado. Somewhere between the winding roads and quiet sunsets, I realized that sometimes, the space people ask for isn't distance. It's their exit. Claire had wanted space to breathe. I gave it to her. She just didn't expect me to build a home inside it. And by the time she realized what she'd lost, I wasn't waiting at the door anymore. That I was already gone. Not out of bitterness, but peace. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all.